Good morning, everyone. Warm welcome from Vienna. I'm your host, Adela Mejijanic. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Making It in Austria. And believe it or not, today we have a 99th episode. Yeah.
Great.
I'm getting old, Jasmina. And my guest today is Jasmina Buhre. Jasmina, warm welcome to the Making It in Austria YouTube channel.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Adela. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for being a guest in such a significant number of your podcasts and sessions.
Yeah, I really wanted you to be the 99th guest, and I'm happy it worked out. And for the ninth, some might have asked what happened with the 100th episode. There are some ideas and some really cool ideas that came from some of the people that I have interviewed. So I'll hope that we work around them and bring the 100th in the next weeks.
So working in progress.
Yes, some ideas because it's been I didn't have the time really properly to reflect all that, and it's been a couple of years since I'm recording now. Some of you know, and there were some breaks in between, and there has been significant what has been shared here, and people that I have met, and the connections that we have created, and events that we have hosted. So there's a lot of it to digest, I would say, to recap, to reflect, to share. So I hope we get to do some of it in the next episodes.
I'm looking forward.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Jasmina, how about you? So tell us a little bit about yourself to the Making It in Austria community.
Oh, okay. So this is very open question, Adela.
Yeah, that's a very open question. So this is the one where you introduce yourself. So I'm happy to introduce you always, but I do appreciate when the guests open up on their own.
Sure. I'll try to be short, and then maybe you can catch up then with some additional questions. So to stream that in a way. I came to Austria 2003, so I've been living here for more than 20 years. I'm proud of it, and it has been a long time, I must admit. At the moment, I'm employee and a solopreneur, so that is the professional part of my life. I'm mother of two children, and having a lot of how to say activities I'm dealing and running and keeping also in a free time, so to say, what is the part of the networking and community work. This is something what I really love, especially community work. And professionally, I'm working in one large NGO, and as a project manager and project lead. And as a solopreneur, I'm a consultant and coach and psychological counselor.
Well, thank you. So you wear quite a few hats, and you know that. And
or legs.
Or legs. I heard about heads, but not the legs. So I love that. I think we first met through the Association of Businesswomen of Bosnia and Herzegovina.
True.
I think that was one of the first touch points we had, and that was a couple of years back, definitely before Corona. So
yes.
So that's the first place where we have met, and we had the opportunity then to build up some of the activities in the Businesswomen of Bosnia and Herzegovina that is active here in Vienna, for the ones who are thinking where it is. So it's active here in Vienna, the association, and has a strong connections and relationship and partnerships back with Bosnia and Herzegovina. And then I think then later on where that was more of a professional, I would say, and where we met later on, more on a private one is through once I became a mom for the first time. And that's one of the other other leg or head in your life that is related to, therapy, that is related to counseling, that is related to coaching, that you are doing as a solopreneur. Would you like to share a little bit about that? So who do you, who do you support? Who do you coach? So who are your, clients, or
Yeah.
what is that they come to you for, or with?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this question. It's really not easy for me to answer it because actually maybe to go one step back, if we have time shortly. While I was before I decided to become solopreneur and was ready for this step. As an employee, I have been counseling for many, many years within the NGO I'm working in. And I have a so long and huge experience working with people with really a lot of troubles. So that was also a kind of a position which brought me to this second part of my professional life. And it reflected also in at the beginning of my role being a coach or being a psychological counselor for the people who find me and want to work with me. So I had a lot of persons coming working with me, working on their traumas and working on their emotional blockages and something what they wanted to solve or to understand better from their biography. So what was holding them back a kind of in the life. So to make a next step. And it was very nice and very deep work, actually. And it is also a deep work for a person you're working with. I mean, for the person who is really in that situation. And but on the other side, there's another part of me myself and me, who am I, where I'm working as a project manager and in developing ideas and concepts and working in a totally different environment or setting. And this is something where the coaching is very interesting. So this not this biography and deep work, but working this transformational work, although both works are really transformation. So I would say that the people who come to me and would love to work with me, they want to transform themselves and to go this way of transformation, and they are really brave to do the transformation. I always encourage them. I know it's not easy to transform our patterns, change our patterns, transform our habits and the way we live. But it is so important work. And I'm always glad to see that someone is doing this and trying this. And for sure, I know you need to be brave for this.
Indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
Mina. And I think there is always a trigger. I would say the trigger for the transformation. There it might be, as you said, you support people in the professional transformation within the organization,
Yes.
as well privately, like the work we have done. So I think for me, the trigger back then, so I was doing quite a lot of business coachings, different ones, and leadership coachings and mentoring and whatnot. For me, the trigger back then was becoming a mom. So that was like, and as we talked many times, I was living with it for my whole life, and it didn't sort of bother me, right? So it was there living with me, all that, what I gone through. And then the trigger came when I became a mom. And I think, and trying to connect it now with the making it in Austria. So I don't know if I would have that courage, as you said, because you said about the courage. If I would be living in my home country, I think I would probably have dealt with that differently then being in a new country, so which some of us call home, a new home, a second home, and we feel comfortable here. As I said, we have built up our lives here, but it's a different approach, because then you feel not, part of this, part of a different community. You feel like you have the freedom to create your own ways. And the community that I have lived back then and in Bosnia and Herzegovina, it's a very small one. So you kind of look into it to fit, or sort of fit to it. So you don't, it has probably, it asks for even more and more courage to break that one within the community that you and your parents and grandparents and who not has grown up, and then it has worked for the decades, and now you're trying to break it. So I think it has something to do with the fact that we are not there anymore. So we are kind of, I think you like to talk about roots, right? That when we are in new countries, so then we also should give ourselves, I think, even more this of courage, and allowing ourselves to really look deep into what is that I want to, give to the next generation, for instance, when you are becoming a mom, or when you're a new mom, or what is that I really want to bring with me in life, what doesn't serve me anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're bringing this up together, and I'm sure there is a connection. While I was listening to you, the several teams opened, and one is, of course, this new role you stepped in, MIIA, the same way. So becoming a parent is such a profound change in our life. There is one point where I realized I'm a mom, and I'm going to be mom until I die. And it was like, oh my God, this is not changing. This is not you step in a job and you change the job, or sometimes you are in a pension or whatever. No, you are mom, whatever. Even when your children go and leave, you are still a mom. So this realization was so huge. And of course your life turns around, and you have a feeling that you're losing everything what you know, and you creating everything new. So this is the initiation in a parent role is really the most important one in our life. Telling this from the therapeutical perspective, it is really a profound life change. And on the other side, you were mentioning this being a parent or becoming a parent, and the trigger related to living in another country. There we opened the several topics, like this so-called big migration, going from one country to another country, especially when in this new country you have also the other language, is actually the question of identity. And I'm sure everyone who lived this kind of migration or this experience, they ask themselves at one point, who am I? What is my identity? How I define myself now? Because you have new values in a new country, and it's just a normal process, a normal question. And of course, when you become a parent, then even more, you question all your values you have, and you face in a new country or a new environment. And but I think I generally even the place where we are coming from, I'm in a contact with young moms and the persons there, and I hear that they also want to leave some patterns we had and we know in this parenting and the life we live. So what does it mean? So I think it's a good development. It's interesting, this trend.
Yeah.
And I see it also not only here where we live in Austria and moving to somewhere else or leaving your home country, but also in our home country.
True. Similar experiences here. You mentioned languages, Jasmina, and identity and values. So let's talk about, maybe we start with the German language. So because it's one of the questions we usually somehow discuss here in the Making It in Austria. So importance of it, to feel home or for career-wise, landing a job without knowing a German. But next to German, you speak several other languages. So I'm curious about your perspective on that and your identities that you carry throughout life with different languages.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I was thinking so many times about this and how what the importance the language has in my life, especially when I was thinking about how to define myself as a solopreneur and what am I offering. I was asking myself in which language I would love to offer this, and should it be in 1, 2, or 3 languages or even more, and what would be the language I want to work in and with. So yes, it's hard for me to say this. I studied languages, so I have another relationship to languages and learning languages and then using them. But I realized sometimes in the course of life here in Austria, I make the switch where you start to think emotionally in another language. So I started to think emotionally in German, and I was surprised that this happened. Actually, I didn't
didn't plan it.
I haven't planned it. I didn't believe that I will ever come to this point, but I really came to that point, and somehow I was sad that it was a kind of losing my own language in a way. But how do I think about language is also connected to where you feel. I think the language is also a kind of power and ability. So do we feel ourselves able and capable and powerful? Depends on in which language we are at home, of course. And this is very visible when on this emotional level, and also sometimes in a professional level. But professionally, as you said, and I know you had these guests in on your YouTube channel that they are living here and they work in English, so they don't even need German really, and it's they have a great professional life and career. Even in another language, so it's not really important. But to feel home, I think you need more than a language to define this, where you feel home, really.
So, and what was your reason, Jasmina, to learn many languages? Was it curiosity? You felt drawn to a language? So, for instance, you speak Arabic and Turkish, right? For instance,
yes,
next to English, German, and Bosnian.
Graduated these 2 languages. It was funny circumstances and that brought me to this study together with economics at that time in Sarajevo. So the plans were different, actually, and I ended up in studying languages. But in the end, I think that was, I still think it was a good decision, because I traveled a lot during my study. And it was such a wonderful experience, and probably brought me also in the end here to Austria, or in thinking of being a part of the world, or not really defining myself just like Bosnian or whatever, but being in, having this intercourse and experiencing other cultures and other countries was such a wonderful thing.
Well, when I'm thinking about learning the next language, that would be probably something more south in a way, so like Italian or Spanish.
It's easy to learn these languages.
You see, you see. So I think maybe in our next session we talk about why we are drawn to certain ones, because there has to be some underlying probably reason for it. I'm drawn to the, and I also like Nordic languages, and it might have to do with the fact that I have worked over there, and I was hearing it almost on a daily basis, having interactions with my colleagues back then in Sweden, and you get more and more you're exposed to it, and you just feel like, okay, this feels good. Maybe at the beginning you have this fear of how do I sound, because that's one of the things that we had to break when we came here in learning the German language, for instance, because you want to make it sound like your own language. You want to sound good in the language, but you cannot, because the speed of learning and processing doesn't come that fast. And you say something, then you feel embarrassed, like, oh my God, what have I said? Because it's not proper where it is. So then it has to do really with your personality. I would say that you accept that making if that's the right word, mistakes, and it's part of the learning. I think you have to, if you want to go further down, I had to accept that I have to speak, even though it doesn't sound properly good or grammatically correct or close to the locals here. But that's the way basically you learn. And I'm thinking, so now why am I drawn to certain languages? Might be an environment that I was exposed, but also might be the fact that, you just like some places and some cultures and some warmth or behavior, maybe something that we are gravitating towards, like more sun than you think about Italy. They're like, okay, I could learn the language.
Yeah, true. I always wanted to learn Hungarian, and then I
Hungarian. Yes, it's a tough language.
It's such a hard language, but somehow I loved it, and I cannot say why. I was attracted to this language. I don't know why, but what you were mentioning, I think that there are some similarities or something what sounds familiar in a language, and this is something what can attract us as well. Or it's like melodic language, and Hungarian is not a melodic language comparing to Italian or Spanish, but yeah.
That brings me to some of the trips that I did in Hungary at the lake over there, and with Hungarian colleagues. And there was some of the words, and I was just pronouncing it wrong, shaking them, and they were just laughing at me the whole time.
No similarity. You cannot. Normally, you learn languages by similarities. You recognize something. This is similar in my language or whatever, and in Hungarian you don't have any similarity.
And the writings, Jasmina, when the way the way it is written, so it's absolutely this A, and then oh my God, it's a different planet. I think didn't they Hungarians and Finnish language or somehow?
No, that was
right.
No, that is the old Terry. Actually, there is a similarity between Turkish and Hungarian and Finnish in the way they build the sentences and words. So it's agglutinative language. They have these suffixes. They build a sentence and build the words by putting the endings on a word. So this is the only similarity they have, but they are not familiar languages.
I was saying to my husband the other day, nowadays with the AI all over the place. So one of the things that I really wish to, and I wanted to do it always, like learning languages. That was I'm thinking like that is one of the things that would really be for my soul, and also professionally. I believe that languages, even though you can translate everything and have everything translated, that's not a problem. But I think the personal connections and the
Yes.
relationships are going to be more and more important. And the languages are the ways how you make them. And that's the
Yes,
fact.
that opens the door. Yes, that's
Yes,
really true, and I can confirm this. I had the same experience with my knowledge of these languages. It opened some doors. The relation, you build the relationships in another way.
true. And you understand
Mm.
people in another way, and you can understand the culture as well. So you can understand why is it, consensus culture, or why is the culture where they don't say much or a few words, or nonverbal and verbal. So if I would bet on myself, I would definitely look more into languages, in this age of everything being digitized, and because that's what can bring you joy, and brings joy as well. It's special joy when you can connect with a person, even if it's just few words, even if you can just say, hi, how are you? And I'm here for the first time.
True, and I think that brings us also to the point to ask ourselves how important is the building of the relationship in a business. And I think it's really highly important that you have that actually long-term corporations
Yeah.
and businesses based on good relationships.
Yeah.
And
True.
when you know the language, even the basics of the language, the person on the other side feels accepted in a way and understood, because they assume you have a kind of understanding of their world,
True. And
and
you're not
and
a stranger anymore.
and this
So
brings us closer. That's
yeah,
true.
yeah, it's a fact. Jasmina, we are coming to the end of our interview today. It was profound with several different topics, and I didn't expect it differently. Uh, uh, because it matters who we are. So if we know ourselves, and if we are confident with ourselves and with all what it comes, I believe then it's a pyramid up there, up higher and higher, so you can build great things. And the people that I have met in my life that are, clear with themselves, they come further, in a long term. So I'm always talking about long term. So short wins and shortcuts and all kind of things, of course, they exist nowadays. But if you want to have a profound life, something that you really can look after it and say, yes, this is what I would have done again. So they require profound, that we work on ourselves, that we understand ourselves, that we understand why we are doing certain things, and where are the things that we would like to, improve. And I'm really glad that we had this talk today, and that you have shared a little bit about your life and yourself to the audience of Making It in Austria.
Yes, thank you. I'm also very glad and thankful for this opportunity, and I love to talk with you anyhow. So it was very nice, and we opened several really interesting themes, and I loved it. And maybe like something what comes up on my mind is that the importance of creating the meaning in our life. And this is the part of knowing better ourselves and who we are, and also knowing better the people we are surrounded with, and choosing them really very consciously. But and this is how we create the world we love to live with in. And creating the meaning in our life, because this is what where we end, actually.
True. And that's the title you have on your LinkedIn profile, Creating the Life We Want to Live In. So by that, I invite you all to, do that or continue doing that and continue doing that for, if you're doing for yourself, then do it for your community. There are many people around us who might have felt left out. And, you know, if you feel like you want to create your community, I started back in the days with the Making It in Austria, trying to creating a place where people, you know, can come together and get to know each other and realize that we are not that different at all, coming from wherever we are globally. And so if you have this urge, and same for you, Jasmina, with the Businesswoman of Bosnia and Herzegovina, creating a space for, you know, us coming together and, you know, creating meaningful relationship, creating, you know, business opportunities, growing there and having a lot of fun, you know, that's also quite important nowadays to, you know, laugh every now and then. The more often, the better. So we invite you to do that, and please get in touch with Jasmina. So I will link some of her contacts details here under this podcast. So get in touch. She's having a lot of exciting things and projects and initiatives coming along the way. So yeah, do use the opportunity. It's beginning of the year. It's a great start. And if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. There will be more stories coming your way, and you know, you help to boost the, you know, visibility of the stories of people that are worth, you know, listening and getting to know it. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Jasmina, thank you.
Thank you, Adela.